Ever feel like, you walk into a pitch
Yeah.
and you've got your data, you've got your visuals, you've got the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And it's like talking to a brick wall.
It's so common.
It's so common.
It's a common trap, and Oren Klaff, in Pitch Anything, he argues it's because we're aiming for the wrong part of the brain.
So we're going in with logic
Right.
when what we really need is like a secret handshake with our audience's, primal instincts.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Klaff calls this the croc brain,
Okay.
this ancient part of our brain that's less concerned with spreadsheets
Right.
and more about survival.
Yeah.
It's wired to ask, is this a threat?
Can I eat it?
Can I eat it? Or is this boring?
Right.
And if the answer to any of those is yes, good luck getting your message through.
So while we're up there pitching our hearts out, the croc brain is basically hitting the delete button before we even get to like our value proposition.
Essentially, it's like sending a FedEx package to the boardroom,
Right.
but it ends up misdirected in some dusty mailroom never to be seen again.
Oh, man.
And here's the kicker. If your pitch is like overly complex or you've got all this jargon,
Yeah.
the croc brain sees that as a threat.
Too much energy.
Way too much energy to process this.
Yeah. Insult to injury, right.
Right.
So if this croc brain is kind of the gatekeeper, how do we get past it? How do we make sure our message doesn't end up in the neural junk pile?
That's where frames come in. Think of them as invisible force fields that shape every interaction.
Every interaction.
You can't see them, but you can definitely feel their power.
Okay, frames. So not something out of a sci-fi movie, but an actual psychological phenomena.
This is real.
Okay, give me an example.
So imagine you encounter a police officer.
Yeah.
Instantly, your behavior shifts a little bit.
100%.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the cop frame in action.
The cop frame.
It's built on authority.
Right.
And you instinctively know you're in a weaker position.
For sure.
Good luck arguing your way out of a speeding ticket with logic alone.
You're not going to win that debate on the side of the road.
Exactly. Or think about a classic French waiter scenario.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that subtle air of defiance.
You're lucky to be here.
Yeah, they make you feel like you should be thanking them for the privilege of dining there.
Oh, they're masters of the universe, right?
Exactly. They've completely flipped the script.
Wow.
I'm the customer. I'm in charge. Frame goes right out the window.
It's incredible how powerful these invisible forces can be.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. So how do we harness this power for good? How do we go from being frame controlled to frame controlling, especially when we're the one pitching an idea?
That's where Oren Klaff's insights become incredibly valuable.
Okay.
He argues that we need to understand the power dynamics at play.
Okay.
And learn to shift them in our favor.
So instead of being at the mercy of these frames, we can actually learn to leverage them to get our message heard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One of the most fascinating examples he gives is Walmart.
Okay.
Think about their headquarters,
Okay.
the sterile lobby, the long waits, the small windowless meeting rooms.
Right.
It's all designed to strip salespeople of their status
Wow.
and put Walmart firmly in control.
It's like they've weaponized the power of environment to set the frame before you even walk in the door.
Precisely. And that's why understanding these frames is so important.
Right.
Because once you're aware of them, you can start to use them to your advantage.
Okay, so we're starting to see how these frames play out in everything from just casual encounters to, high-stakes business meetings.
Oh, yeah, they're universal.
But how do we actually apply this to pitching? Where do we even begin to break down this seemingly invisible force field?
Well, Klaff lays out a framework he calls STRONG.
Okay.
And it's designed to do just that.
Okay.
It's a way to break down the pitching process into actionable steps.
Love it.
And it all starts with understanding how to set the frame from the get-go.
All right, so let's dig into this strong framework and figure out how to go from being framed to framing the conversation ourselves.
Let's do it.
I'm ready to flip the script and make the croc brain my new best friend.
I love it.
Strong. I like it.
Yeah.
It sounds like the kind of framework that can take a pitch from meh to money in the bank. So break it down for me. What does strong stand for, and how does it help us navigate this world of frames?
So each letter in STRONG represents a critical step in crafting a compelling pitch.
Huh.
The first S stands for setting the frame.
Okay, so first impressions matter, but we're not just talking about a firm handshake and a power suit here, are we?
It's bigger than that. It's about establishing your presence, your value from the moment you walk in the room. Remember Oren Klaff's story about Meeting with Steve Bellsberg.
Oh, yeah?
Bellsberg starts doodling in his pitch book, completely dismissing him.
Oh, yeah. Talk about a power move.
Right.
Trying to, like, psych him out before they even start.
Exactly. But instead of getting rattled, Klaff takes control. He grabs the book back, points at Bellsberg's doodle, and says, "Gimme that."
He made the doodle the prize.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a masterclass in frame control.
Wow.
By disrupting that power play and reframing that doodle as something valuable, he shifted the entire dynamic of the interaction.
Wow. Talk about turning the tables. So it seems like confidence is key here. But how do we project that kind of confidence, especially when we're pitching something we're so passionate about? You know, it's easy to slip into desperation mode.
Yeah, and that's why the next step, T, for telling the story is so crucial. Remember the croc brain we talked about?
Yeah.
It's not wired for logic and data. It craves a good story.
So it's about bypassing that analytical mind and tapping into something more primal, more emotional.
Exactly. Klaff talks about this man-in-the-jungle storytelling pattern.
Okay.
He uses this gripping story about a near-death experience on a private jet.
Oh.
Where the autopilot malfunctions.
Oh, my God.
It's terrifying, but incredibly effective.
I bet.
Yeah.
So it's not just about any story. It's about crafting a narrative that really resonates with the croc brain's need for, danger, intrigue, and resolution.
Precisely. You need a relatable protagonist, a conflict with high stakes, and just enough unresolved tension to keep them hooked.
All right.
Think of it like a movie trailer.
Okay.
You give them a glimpse of what's possible, but you leave them wanting more.
Which brings us to revealing the intrigue. So how do we create that I need to know more feeling without giving away the whole farm?
This is where you play with information gaps and push-pull techniques. You offer a tantalizing piece of information.
Right.
Something that piques their curiosity, but then you hold back,
Right.
creating that need for closure.
So it's like dangling a carrot, but instead of a carrot, it's like a game-changing insight or a solution to their biggest pain point.
Exactly. You're sparking their curiosity, making them lean in and ask, okay, tell me more. How does this work? What happens next?
This is brilliant.
Right.
It's like we've gone from begging for their attention to making them chase after our ideas, which brings us to, offering the prize.
Yeah.
So how do we become the prize in this equation? It feels a bit counterintuitive, especially in a pitch where you're often positioned as the one asking for something.
Right. It's about subtly shifting the perception of value. Remember your experience at the animal shelter?
Oh, yeah.
You went in ready to adopt, but they made you jump through hoops?
They did.
Proving you were a worthy candidate.
Don't remind me. It was like they were interviewing me
Right.
instead of the other way around. But I see what they did there. They brilliantly reversed the power dynamic, making me, the potential adopter, feel like the one who had to prove their worth.
Exactly. And that's the essence of the prize frame. You become the scarce resource, the one with the unique value proposition that they just have to have.
Right.
Think back to Klaff's example of pitching to enterprise partners.
Okay.
He didn't just lay out his business plan. He positioned their investment as an opportunity, a chance to get in on the ground floor of something big.
So he wasn't asking for their money. He was offering them a piece of the pie, a chance to be part of his success story.
Precisely. And by framing it that way, he shifted the power dynamic, making them the ones who had to prove they were worthy of being his partner.
This is mind-blowing.
It is.
It's like we've been playing the pitching game on hard mode all along, completely unaware of these hidden rules. Mm-hmm. But now that we're starting to understand the power of frames, it's like we've unlocked a cheat code for success.
It's about leveling up your pitching game. You're not just presenting information. You're creating a story that resonates on an emotional level and positions you as the sought-after prize.
All right, we've covered setting the frame, telling the story, revealing the intrigue, and offering the prize. What's the final piece of this strong framework?
The G stands for getting a decision. This is where you seal the deal.
Okay.
But it's a delicate dance. You want to create a sense of urgency without seeming desperate.
So no begging, pleading, or offering discounts just to get a yes?
Definitely not. Remember, neediness is the kiss of death.
Right.
It signals weakness and undermines your entire frame. Instead, you want to project confidence and create a clear path to action.
So it sounds like mastering this getting a decision phase requires a deep understanding of all the other elements of strong. It's about reading the room, understanding the power dynamics, and guiding your audience towards that final yes with confidence and finesse.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that you've presented a compelling case, established your value, and now it's time for them to decide if they want to be a part of it.
This strong framework is pure gold. We've gone from the croc brain to frames to storytelling and intrigue, all the way to becoming the prize.
Yeah.
But there's one element we haven't explored fully yet: intrigue.
Yeah, it's like we keep coming back to this idea of intrigue, like tapping into the brain's, primal desire for novelty. It's like we're saying this is the secret sauce of a killer pitch, but how do we actually make it work for us?
So it all comes down to understanding how the brain reacts to novelty. When we encounter something new and intriguing, our brains release dopamine, that feel-good chemical that keeps us craving more.
So it's not just about telling a good story, it's about actually triggering a chemical reaction in our audience's brains.
Exactly.
Talk about high-stakes chemistry.
Right. And remember those information gaps we talked about?
Yeah, they're key to triggering that dopamine release. When you withhold information strategically, you create a sense of anticipation, a need to know what happens next.
It's like that moment in a movie where the hero's hanging off a cliff and the screen fades to black right before you see if they make it. You're just left on the edge of your seat, dying to find out what happens.
That's a great analogy. And that's precisely the feeling we want to evoke in our audience. We want them to be so captivated by our story, so eager for the resolution, that they're fully invested in what we have to say.
Okay, so we've got this strong framework. We're tapping into the power of intrigue. We're even positioning ourselves as the prize. But it all sounds a bit like a high-wire act, right? How do we make sure we don't come across as manipulative or inauthentic?
Yeah, that's where confidence and authenticity come into play. It's not about being someone you're not. It's about understanding the rules of the game and using them to your advantage.
So it's less about tricks and tactics and more about understanding the psychology of persuasion and using that knowledge to communicate our ideas in a way that resonates with our audience's deepest desires and motivations.
Exactly. And remember, when you're passionate about your idea, that passion shines through. It's contagious. People are drawn to people who believe in what they're selling.
Yeah, that makes sense. So it's not just about what we say, it's how we say it, the energy we bring to the table, the way we own our expertise and let our passion shine through.
Precisely. Think about Oren Klaff's experience pitching the Davis Field airport deal. He didn't just present like a dry business plan. He tapped into the committee's desire for legacy, painting a picture of a project that would put their town on the map. He used visual storytelling. He even brought in a local hero, Joe Ramirez, to create an emotional connection.
He stacked those frames, appealed to their emotions, and ultimately convinced them that this wasn't just an investment in an airport. It was an investment in their community, their future.
Exactly. It was a masterclass in framing storytelling and connecting with your audience on a deeper level.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into the world of pitching, what's the key takeaway for our listeners? What's the one thing they should remember when they're maybe feeling intimidated by that pitch meeting and they're getting ready to go pitch their next big idea?
I'd say this: be bold, be confident, and don't be afraid to embrace the power of frames and intrigue.
Love it.
Remember, you're not just delivering information, you're telling a story, creating an experience, and inviting your audience to be a part of something bigger than themselves.
And most importantly, have fun with it.
Yes.
When you're genuinely enjoying the process, that energy is infectious. It draws people in, makes them want to hear what you have to say.
Absolutely.
So go out there, be authentic, be engaging, and remember, the best pitches, the ones that really land, are the ones that feel like a conversation, not a lecture. That's a great note to end on. To our listeners, the next time you're facing that intimidating pitch meeting, remember the lessons we've unpacked today. Harness the power of the croc brain, master the art of framing, and weave a story that captivates your audience and leaves them wanting more. And who knows, you might just find yourself walking out of that room with a signed deal and a smile on your face.